Hey everyone, welcome back to OCD Recovery's YouTube channel, where today I'm going to talk about an extremely important topic, which is OCD recovery is something that comes to you. You could set up the platform by doing all the things necessary, but eventually it will come to you or it won't. That's where the fear comes from. Remember, we have the three prongs of fear: the fear of being stuck forever, the fear of going back to your worst, and the fear of developing something new. Before I go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button down below. Let me know what you think about the video. If you have any recommendations for videos, I always love taking them in the YouTube comments, and we will go from there. Now, you can do a lot of different things to put yourself in a position to achieve a goal. So you can go to the gym 5 days a week. You can have the best workout, best program, best diet, and your body will only respond to the genetic potential that your physiology and anatomy will allow that to happen. And that's just how it goes. With OCD and anxiety recovery, you can read all the books. You can do all your disputing. You could do all your exposures. You could do all the things necessary, like bring down self-reassurance and avoidance, build your life structure, and OCD recovery will just come to you eventually, or it may not. Now, there's a very high chance if you do all the proper things and you follow the proper channels and you get better with sitting uncertainty, you have a very high chance of reaching baseline peace a couple years down the road and seeing a lot of progress 3 to 6, 12 months in. But usually it does take a couple years. Most people don't explain that properly. But there is no guarantee. As we know, we do have to accept that. I could have the worst relapse of my life tomorrow. I have no fear of that whatsoever. I tell people this all the time. I've had numerous relapses that were horrendous, and each one taught me something just taught me a lot more about how much I didn't really accept having OCD as a mental health disorder. And as I accepted the fact that I have OCD as a mental health disorder, it took the edge off in that sense. And if I had spikes going forward, it didn't really process in my mind. Like, I felt that I was having a spike, whether it was a sensation, there was thoughts or urges, but there was no quarrels with it. There was no need to get rid of it. Like if I was walking in a rainstorm and just feeling everything. So that's what we mean by OCD recovery eventually comes to you. Now, that platform, to make that happen, there are different stages of that platform. Some of you are very early, or 6 to 12 months in, and yes, people do not like when I say this. If you're 9 to 12 months in, you're still pretty early in the journey. Still pretty early. Most people really start developing strong unconditional acceptance 3+ years in of practice. It's learning a new language. Imagine you learning Mandarin. Like if I wanted to learn Mandarin, there's a good probability my Mandarin is going to be a lot better at 5 years of practice after 1. Sure, I'd be really good at 1 if I practiced every day, but I might not know the nuances and understand if you just threw me in a village, somewhere in mountain town in China where people are speaking these different forms, dialects of Mandarin. There's a lot of things to it. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't try, because if you don't try, then you just live the way you are for the rest of your life. But then there comes a point where maybe you are 18, 12 months in. These are just basic guidelines. They have no reality to them in the sense of just like how I'm explaining it. And you've read all the books. You've read them more than once, probably twice. You've done disputing homework a decent amount. You no longer need to dispute on paper, because the goal is to not need paper to dispute. I never have to look at anything on paper. I can look at things in the moment. Most of you can't. The reason why I can is years and years of practice. And even if I do something that keeps me stuck, it's not the end of the world. And eventually I got to a place where I thought, I've put in enough work. Let me change my focus and direction to needing recovery and just learning to benefit anything in my life. My habits, my patience, my structure. And if that gives me the extra edge towards baseline peace, so be it. If it does not, it's not the end of the world. And that's a completely different mindset when you're approaching this whole beast of OCD. Because for a long time, you're doing all these things such as, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, I'm going to do A, B, C to have these particular outcomes, to no longer suffer. And we all do that. I did it myself many times. But eventually, I came to a point, like I said, a couple of years in, where I said, you know what? I'm just going to live my life. I'm no longer going to look at beliefs anymore, and I'm just going to go with it and see how it goes. And that is what we mean by allowing OCD recovery to come to you. You'll never know if you're at that spot. I had someone ask me today, how do I know if I'm at that spot? How do I know if I'm ready? All those questions, anytime you're asking a question, trying to put a hard line in the sand, yes, no, not good. Not for us. It's not good for humans in general, but they don't have the emotional disturbance, so they can get away with it. But it's not good for us, especially OCD and anxiety sufferers, because there's no answer to most of these. Take something like ROCD. Should I stay or should I go? There's actually no correct answer. It's your belief about staying and going. If you have a good unconditional acceptance about you're probably messing your life up a little bit and you might never have connection, you can do as many one-night stands and leave and go and leave and go and end relationships with no chronic anxiety and guilt. Okay, I'm not saying I would recommend that. So, because people are like, when should I leave? When should I go? That's not the problem. When am I ready to just allow OCD recovery to come to me? Well, you're doing that all throughout the process, but it takes a long time to get to that place. So thank you again, Phil at OCDrecovery.com. Let me know what you think. Always a pleasure. Please write some stuff in the comments. Let me know what you want to. Like I said, I love in the beginning of the video, as I said, I like taking recommendations. I think it's a lot of fun. And we'll go from there and we'll see how you're doing. Have a good one, everyone.